Hey there, you looking kinda cute. Please consider subscribing and check out our Patreon for more. Enjoy the video. I'm Alex, a guy in his mid-20s, and I've always been the type of person to jump at a challenge. That's why when my friends dared me to spend a whole day in high heels, I laughed and agreed without a second thought. I thought it would be just a day of silly fun. I had no idea it would open up a whole new world to me. The morning of the challenge, I found myself standing outside a secondhand shop, peering through the window at rows of shoes. I pushed open the door and stepped inside, the bell tinkling overhead. The shop smelled like old books and leather, a comforting scent. I wandered over to the women's shoe section, feeling a bit out of place. The heels were lined up on the shelves, glittering under the shop lights. I was looking for something that would fit me, a task easier said than done. After a bit of searching, I found them, a pair of shiny black high heels with a daunting 4-inch heel. They looked like they could fit, and the price tag was within my budget. I picked them up and headed to the counter. "Trying something new?" the shopkeeper asked, a hint of a smile on her face. "Just a bet with friends," I replied, trying to sound casual. She nodded, not prying further, and rang up my purchase. I left the shop with the heels in a bag, feeling a strange mix of excitement and nervousness. Back at my apartment, I sat on the edge of my bed and stared at the heels. They were sleek and shiny, almost intimidating. I took a deep breath and slipped my feet into them. Standing up was a challenge. I wobbled, unsteady on the high heels. I took a few clumsy steps, almost tripping over the corner of my rug. But as I practiced, I started to get the hang of it. I was far from graceful, but I was walking. I decided to go for it, to really embrace the challenge. I rummaged through my closet and found an old Halloween costume, a long black wig, and a basic black dress. It was a bit tight, but it fit. I put on the wig, adjusting it to sit right on my head. Looking in the mirror, I saw a completely different person. I was surprised at how the dress hugged my body, the fabric soft against my skin. With a deep breath, I stepped out of my apartment and into the world. Walking down the street in the high heels was a challenge. Every step required concentration, a balance of weight and poise I wasn't used to. People stared as I passed by. Some snickered, others looked away quickly, but all of them noticed me. I tried to ignore them, focusing on the rhythm of my steps. My first interaction of the day was at a coffee shop. I pushed open the door, the bell chiming loudly. The barista, a young woman with bright red hair, looked up and did a double take. I ordered a coffee, my voice sounding strange to my own ears. As I waited, I noticed a group of women at a nearby table. They were chatting and laughing, but they paused to look at me. One of them, a woman with kind eyes and a gentle smile, beckoned me over. "Love the heels," she said. "Not easy to walk in, are they?" I laughed, relieved at her friendly tone. "No, they're not. It's a bet with my friends." "We've all been there," another woman added. "It's a whole different world in heels." We chatted for a bit, their love and acceptance surprising me. They shared stories of their own experiences with fashion, the highs and lows, the fun and the pain. I sipped my coffee, feeling oddly at ease. Leaving the coffee shop, I realized that the day was about more than just a bet. It was about stepping into someone else's shoes, literally and figuratively. The high heels, the dress, the wig, they were all part of an experience that was new to me. And as I continued my walk, I couldn't help but feel a growing sense of respect for those who navigated the world in heels every day. As I walked, the discomfort in my feet grew, but so did my understanding. This was more than just a physical challenge. It was a journey into a world I had never known. And as the day went on, I found myself looking forward to the next interaction, curious about what else I would learn. The streets bustled with people, each in their own world, but many took a moment to glance at me. The high heels clicked on the pavement, a constant reminder of the challenge I had undertaken. The pain in my feet was growing, a sharp reminder with each step. But I was determined to see this through. I entered a bustling mall, the noise and lights overwhelming after the relative calm of the street. People swarmed around me, some in a hurry, others leisurely browsing. I felt self-conscious, aware of how out of place I must look. The dress felt tighter, the wig itched, but the heels were the real challenge, demanding my attention with every step. As I maneuvered through the crowd, I stumbled, catching myself just in time. A hand reached out to steady me, and I looked up to see a man about my age, his expression one of genuine concern. "Hey, are you okay?" he asked. "Yeah, just not used to these heels," I replied, trying to laugh it off. He smiled. "I can imagine. They look like a challenge." We struck up a conversation, and I found myself opening up about the bet. His name was Mark, and he listened with an open mind, nodding along as I explained my day so far. "You know, my sister wears heels like that," Mark said. "She always says it's like a workout for her feet." We laughed, and he suggested we grab a bite to eat at the food court. I agreed, grateful for the chance to sit down and rest my aching feet. As we sat over burgers and fries, Mark talked about his sister, how she had struggled with people's perceptions and stereotypes. It was a conversation that made me think, made me realize how much I had been unaware of. "People can be quick to judge," Mark said, "but everyone has their own story, you know?" I nodded, feeling a new sense of awareness washing over me. Here I was, a guy in a dress and heels, talking about stereotypes and perceptions with a stranger who had offered me kindness without a second thought. After we finished eating, Mark wished me luck with the rest of my challenge. I thanked him and stood up, feeling the soreness in my feet more acutely after the break. I waved goodbye and headed back into the mall, the click of my heels echoing slightly. Walking through the mall, I felt a mixture of emotions. There was discomfort, yes, but also a sense of accomplishment. I was doing something I had never imagined I would, and it was teaching me more than I had expected. I paused in front of a clothing store, looking at the mannequins dressed in stylish outfits. I noticed the details, the cut of the dresses, the way the fabrics flowed. It was a new perspective, one I had never taken the time to consider before. As I left the mall, the sun was beginning to set, casting long shadows on the street. I felt tired, but also exhilarated. Each interaction, each moment of the day was adding to an experience I would never forget. I was beginning to understand that this challenge was more than just a bet. It was a lesson in empathy, in understanding, in seeing the world through a different lens. And as I continued on my journey, the high heels clicking steadily beneath me, I wondered what the next encounter would bring. What other lessons would I learn before the day was over? The sky turned a deeper shade of blue as the evening approached. My feet ached with every step, the high heels feeling like they were part of me now. I decided to take a break and found a quiet bench in a small park. The grass was a vibrant green and the flowers bloomed in various colors, creating a serene environment. Sitting there, I took off the heels for a moment, giving my feet some much-needed relief. The cool air felt good against my skin. I watched people passing by, some walking dogs, others jogging. It was a slice of everyday life, yet I felt like I was seeing it from a new perspective. A woman, probably in her 40s, sat down next to me. She wore a simple dress and a warm smile. We exchanged greetings, and she noticed the high heels next to me. "Those are quite the shoes," she commented. I laughed. "Yeah, they're a challenge, to say the least." We started talking, and I shared the story of my bet. She listened intently, nodding and chuckling at parts. Then she shared her story. She had been a ballet dancer when she was younger, used to the demands of dancing en pointe. "Dancing was my life," she said, "but it was tough on my feet. I guess high heels aren't much different." Her words resonated with me. Like her, I was experiencing the physical demand of something unfamiliar, something that required grace and endurance. We talked about the parallels between ballet and walking in high heels, the discipline and the pain. As we spoke, I realized how much I had judged others based on appearance, without understanding their stories or experiences. This woman, once a dancer, had faced challenges I could only imagine. "Life is full of surprises," she said. standing up to leave. "Sometimes it takes walking a mile in someone else's shoes or heels to see that." I smiled, feeling a newfound respect for her and for everyone who had mastered the art of high heels. I put the heels back on, my feet protesting slightly, and continued on my journey. The park was peaceful, with the sound of leaves rustling in the gentle breeze. I walked slowly, mindful of each step, the discomfort in my feet a constant reminder of the day's lessons. As the park gave way to the bustling city streets again, I felt a mix of emotions. There was discomfort, yes, but also a sense of pride. I was doing something I never thought I would, and it was changing my perspective in ways I hadn't imagined. My next destination was a friend's house. They had been part of the group who had dared me to do this. I was curious to see their reaction, to share my experiences of the day. The walk there was a test of endurance, each step a mixture of pain and determination. Arriving at their door, I rang the bell, steadying myself on the heels. The door swung open, and my friend's expression was one of surprise and amusement. "Alice, you actually did it!" they exclaimed. I stepped inside, the familiar surroundings a stark contrast to the newness of my attire. "Yeah, I did," I said, feeling a sense of accomplishment. We sat down, and I recounted my day, the challenges, the encounters, the conversations. My friend listened, their initial amusement turning to genuine interest. "It's been an eye-opener," I admitted. As we talked, I realized how much this experience had taught me. It wasn't just about the physical challenge of wearing high heels, it was about understanding, about seeing the world from a different perspective. The conversation flowed easily, and I felt a sense of camaraderie. This challenge, which had started as a lighthearted bet, had become a journey of discovery. And as I talked with my friend, sharing laughs and insights, I knew that this day would stay with me for a long time. As the night grew late, I prepared to leave, slipping the high heels back on. My feet were sore, but I was determined to see this through to the end. As I stepped back out into the night, the city lights twinkling around me, I felt a sense of accomplishment. I had walked in high heels for a day, but more importantly, I had walked a path of discovery and understanding. The city lights cast a soft glow on the streets as I continued my walk. The night brought a different energy, a mix of tranquility and liveliness. My feet ached with every step in the high heels, but there was a sense of determination driving me forward. As I walked, I noticed a small, cozy-looking bar. The idea of a cold drink and a moment's rest was too tempting to pass up. I stepped inside, the heels clicking on the wooden floor. The bar had a warm, inviting atmosphere, with soft music playing in the background. I found a seat at the bar and ordered a drink. The bartender, a woman with an easy smile, glanced at my heels and raised an eyebrow. "Tough day?" she asked. "You could say that," I replied with a chuckle. We struck up a conversation, and I ended up telling her about the bet and my day's adventures. She listened with a mix of amusement and curiosity. "I've seen it all here," she said. "But I must admit, you're the first guy I've seen walk in wearing heels like those." As we talked, more people came into the bar. A group of women, out for a night on the town, took seats next to me. They noticed my heels and immediately started asking questions. I found myself surrounded by a lively discussion about fashion, challenges, and breaking stereotypes. One of the women, who introduced herself as Lisa, shared her own story about wearing high heels for the first time. "I remember how empowering it felt," she said, "but also how much it hurt." We all laughed, and I felt a sense of camaraderie with these strangers. They were open-minded and accepting, and our conversation flowed naturally. We talked about everything from fashion to life choices, and I realized how much I was enjoying myself. As the night wore on, the bar filled with the sounds of laughter and conversation. I felt a sense of belonging, a connection with these people who had been strangers only hours before. Eventually, it was time to leave. I thanked the bartender and said goodbye to my new friends. Stepping back out into the cool night air, I felt a mix of exhaustion and exhilaration. The high heels, which had been such a source of discomfort, had also been a catalyst for so many meaningful interactions. I walked slowly, savoring the quiet of the night. The city seemed different now, more familiar and welcoming. The challenge of the high heels had opened up a world of experiences and connections that I would never have had otherwise. As I neared my apartment, the reality of the day's events began to sink in. I had stepped out of my comfort zone, accepted a challenge, and in doing so, discovered a new part of myself. The physical discomfort was there, but it was overshadowed by the sense of accomplishment and the new perspectives I had gained. Reaching my apartment, I took off the heels with a sigh of relief. My feet were sore, but my heart was full. I sat down, reflecting on the day. It had been a journey of discovery, not just about high heels, but about myself and the world around me. As I settled into bed, I thought about the conversations, the laughter, and the connections I had made. This experience, born from a simple bet, had become so much more. It was a reminder that sometimes stepping into someone else's shoes can lead you on an unexpected path of growth and understanding. And as I drifted off to sleep, I knew that this day, this challenge would stay with me for a long time. Thanks for watching. Be sure to check out Patreon for a lot more content and early access to YouTube videos.